Anyway,
that.
you know what? Let me go ahead and move on because this is
Right.
gonna make my head hurt. So
It's
this
gonna be a
week,
good episode.
Always.
I mean, so this week, we want to talk about a bunch of things. Some of it dealing with Sony. If you've been online as of late, or at least I would say social media, maybe not online, but social media, there's been a lot of talks about Sony and the choices that they are making. And I wanted to talk about this on the podcast because I feel like I am yelling into the void when I'm on Twitter trying to correct people and whatnot. But one of the big things that dropped recently was that Sony is removing films from their digital libraries, from your digital libraries, if you've bought movies or television shows via Sony. Now, Sony and Microsoft has removed the stores, so you can't buy movies through them anymore. And Microsoft, on one hand, though, was saying that, or allows you to still watch if you have the app. So if you download their movie and television app, you can watch whatever you bought. As of right now, and I want to make this clear because this whole console war crap. As of right now, Microsoft has not removed, from what I can understand, has not removed films and stuff from their library. However, if there's a licensing issue, they will do that. And I've seen that happen across the board. In Microsoft instance, it was a video game. I actually had a video game removed from my account, even though I paid for it. And when I asked for a refund, it happened twice. One time they gave me a refund. The second time, the rep told me to try out one of these games. I thought they were giving me a game, okay, so we're gonna swap. They were like, try these games out, and they were all free. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're a jerk. So I just wanted people to know that this happens across the board.
Yeah.
However, Sony is the highlight right now because of other stuff that they did, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. So for those who don't know, I'm moving over to shout out to Game Informer. Marcus Stute over there wrote about this. He says that Sony has announced it will be removing hundreds of purchased movies and television shows by Studio Canal from players' digital libraries. Now, Studio Canal isn't necessarily, when you think of that particular company, it's not a, Warner Brothers or Sony is not one of them. But they handle the digital aspect of it, where it means we're in the sense of like putting these movies into digital storefronts for people. And so the way this works is Sony pays for a license. That license has a certain time limit. And when you buy, because of how licensing works, you purchase a license essentially to watch whatever it is for however long. And it's basically like a really, really long rental. That being said, it does make you feel a way when something is pulled from your library after you purchased it. They go on to say that they're going to start removing the films on September 1st of this year. And right now they're hinting at the licensing agreements. That's pretty much what it is. Some of the films that are going to be removed are From Dusk Till Dawn, the Evil Dead series, Terminator 2, This is Spinal Tap, Train to Busan. On the television side, American Gods, The Young Pope, Trust Me. A lot of content, like over 500, at least 500 films, I think, and television shows that are going to be removed from people's accounts. And because this happened to me, I'm not surprised. Like, this has happened before. But I feel like something needs to be done about this because of how things are moving. Contrary to popular belief, people still buy DVDs. People still buy them. But the amount of people, at least in terms of forward facing, right? Best Buy removed a lot of their DVD sections from their stores, not because people aren't buying, but because people aren't buying from there, right? And so you got people buying on Amazon and stuff like that, or secondhand. And because of that, though, facing Best Buy's like, we don't need to invest in this anymore. Sony's looking at it in the same regard, right? Why pay for this digital library license, for these particular films? When people are, they're not buying from us anymore. They're going to be going to whatever digital storefront now. We're moving out of this sector. We don't really care, essentially. We're not going to keep paying because they have to keep paying for the license. And that's I guess, for a business move. Consumer-wise, though, that makes me hesitant to buy anything from you. Because the idea is that I bought this. I knew going in that it was a license. but my understanding was that it was going to stand the test of time, at least longer than what it was. And because some of the pushback is, well, if you have DVDs, DVD rot, and all this other stuff, right? I have VHS tapes that still work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
cassette tapes that still work.
Right.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I know nothing lasts forever, but I do expect my content to be around a little longer than 10 years, a little longer than 12 years. I really, really do. And so everybody's in the uproar about it, and I totally get it. And I just want people to understand that this is not just a Sony problem. This is an Apple problem. This is a Google problem. This is a Microsoft problem. We got to stop with this fighting console stuff. This is a digital versus physical debate.
Yeah.
So I wanted to preface that before we get into it. Now that that's been out there, how do you guys feel about this situation? Sho, what are your thoughts?
Well, and I'd go a step further from saying digital versus physical. I would say it's a company versus consumer debate, honestly,
Right.
because the companies are trying to hold on to as much money as they can without giving a product or, a physical product at that, but without, they take your money and essentially, like you said, it's a glorified rental. And people aren't going to read the fine print on that. They think that they own it. And it does become rather strange when they say they're going to reach into your library and remove what you already purchased. And when you have the idea that you purchased something, a lot of people think, oh, well, I bought this, I own it now, and you're not going to take from my digital library. And that's just not the case. And I think it's very dangerous. I think if companies are going to do this, they should have some kind of reminder that, okay, if licensing leaves or in the negotiations, if licensing is revoked from Sony, then I think there should be a way that consumers can still keep their product, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Train to Busan, even that came out in 2016. As you said, that's literally just a decade. I have games that are older than that sitting on, we're talking about physical stuff.
Right.
And I purchased like DVDs. I purchased the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, all the seasons of that, because like I love that show. That show was so good to me. It's nostalgic. So it's like, yeah, I'd love to have a physical hard copy of that. And for them to remove these videos that may have sentimental value for people. I know, what is it? Dusk Till Dawn is a cult classic for that genre. So I know a lot of people would probably feel a type of way that they won't have access to that anymore. And I think it's a really bad practice. If Sony does it, then other companies are going to follow. And I think we need to kind of raise the alarm now before these other companies start thinking, well, they're saving money doing that, so we need to start doing that as well. So,
agree.
Yeah, and that's what happened with Apple. Apple removed films. Apple removed music even, and even though they have a storefront through their, I don't know if it's still called iTunes, but you can purchase music and stuff through them.
Yeah,
they've removed stuff as well. And nobody. I remember there was that old case. I think Bruce Willis was going at Apple because he was like, I want to be able to leave my music to my children when I pass away. And Apple's like, we can't transfer the license. And he's like, well, I spent all this money building this up. Like, there's got to be some way we can work this out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it went away because legally it says you are only buying a license. You feel me? Regardless of legality, it sucks. But yeah, Tess, how do you feel about this announcement?
Same, 100%. It's ridiculous. Exactly the same. It is the company versus the consumer. I mean, it happened to me when Google Play or Google, whatever was the music that was Google at one point.
Yes.
The artists formerly known as
Play.
Google Plays music.
Right.
So whatever it was, I lost all those things that I bought. I was really feeling myself because I just had some money. Like I was like, oh, I have a job and I haven't been fired from it in like, every 20 days like I normally do. And I was like, yay, let me buy these things. And I bought them. And I was so happy. And I got my Bruno Mars CDs and I got my Prince. I was like, I went back and I got Prince. So I was so proud of myself. I was like, good to do. Let me get these. Let me get that. Leona Lewis, for crying out loud. Like, what? Like,
love Leona Lewis.
Okay. I got some things, not a lot of things, but some things. And then next thing you know, Google's like, we don't have music anymore. And I found out 2 months after they closed it. So I never got to download my things. never got to download my music.
Mhm.
And I think that that's BS. I don't have a lot of money, and I don't like this idea. I mean, I get it. We make this agreement, but consumers are not believing that companies are just going to be out to screw them. We do believe in the exchange of money for goods, not temporarily, because the cost doesn't act like it's temporary. If a CD, for people who don't know what a CD is, a compact disc, not a certificate of deposit, but a compact disc that we used to go to the store and buy on release days, which was Tuesdays, might cost us anywhere between $15, $18, I don't know, $11 to $18, somewhere around there. Yeah, exactly, that thing. The thing with the hole in it. The thing with the hole. And I also want to make a call out to I think I was reading it on Twitter. I think I read it on Twitter. They said a little kid came home to their parent and said, "Hey, mom, dad, or whatever, the teacher pressed the button under the TV and this little drawer came out. And then she had this thing with a hole in it and she put it in there and closed the drawer and then the movie played. What's that?" And I was like, man, these little children, they don't even know what a CD or a DVD is.
Man.
They only know digital. They only know turn on TV and then the Alexa remote gets you movies and television. They don't know. They don't know. They've never seen a VHS tape. And this is their reality. So sadly, the younger individuals will think that it's normal to pay the money, to pay $25 for music, for a collection, for an album, only for it to be taken away from them in 8 years.
Yeah.
And then they'll just, and I feel like the normalization of that is the conversation between these young people as they're growing up will be like, oh yeah, well that's normal. So you just have to buy it somewhere else or something, or, you just can't get it anymore. It's just gone. No, it's history and I paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facts. And now, go ahead.
Sorry. I wanted to add that with everything or this media essentially becoming digital, it can change right under our noses.
Yes.
Which is scary because they'll have, they can censor it. They could change the meaning of a scene or something like that. So, because that happens in music now.
Yes,
where they need to change something, there was an error, or God forbid, a producer or a writer has a disagreement, and then something gets taken off of an audio track.
Yes.
So, and then re-uploaded literally within an hour. So, I think it's very harrowing that we don't own the licensing, that the content that we consume can change very quickly, or without us agreeing or understanding. For example, Lilo and Stitch, the digital copy, there's a change for safety reasons in the original Lilo and Stitch to the current Lilo and Stitch that's on Disney Plus or whatever. So I think that's very concerning as well, and something that we need to think about when we get into the conversation of digital versus physical media.
Right.
But
yeah. And even I was going to say, Tess, with your example of the Google Play, the music, the solution wasn't better. I had purchased a lot through there, and the reason being that Google was more attractive than Apple. This was when Apple was more restrictive. You couldn't move stuff as much as you wanted. And so what I would do, I would buy and put it on Google, and then Google would put it everywhere that I wanted it to go, because it was like, you purchase through us, you get the license, but you also get the files. And so you can move them around digitally wherever. And so their solution was, when they were shutting it down, it was like, hey, we're going to go to YouTube Music. They were like, download it here and transfer it over to YouTube Music. So I did that. So I kept all my records. The problem, though, was that I could no longer remove them, which was the whole point of having it via Google.
To that file.
Exactly. Now the files, granted, I still have the original files, so I'm good. But if you just moved it and wasn't thinking about it, all your digital albums are stuck on that particular app. You cannot take them anywhere else. They're just stuck. There's no option. When you go to download, it says download a temporary license to listen to it offline if you have YouTube Premium. After a few days, that goes away, and then you have to re-download it again. You know what I mean? So even in the process of trying to help you out, or offering a solution, it still locked you in this box. Was the whole purpose of Google Play versus Apple in the first place. So yeah, it's not a good look. And yeah, the like I was saying, even with purchasing a license, because we do that with video games a lot on Steam or whatever the case may be, the understanding is that it's going to be a while before this potentially goes away. That's the understanding. But a while for us and apparently the companies are two different things.
Right. Because
Again,
a while for me is my lifetime. A while for me is as long as my ADHD and autism keep me hyper focused on something, which might be a day or it might be 100 years. I don't know. I don't know how long I'm supposed to live, but they shouldn't get to decide that for me because I paid my money.
Right.
Exactly. And because like and the odd thing about kids not knowing certain things, like depending on your household, my kids know all about that stuff.
Right.
And with me growing up, seeing 8-tracks was a thing.
Right.
You know, when we and the Walkman, and then moving on to CDs and so on and so forth. The fact that one generation can be so removed from all of that is disturbing. When we talk about preservation and history and stuff like that.